ขออนุโมทนาทุกคนนะเราพูดภาษาอังกฤษต่อนะ so it's very short time together and we've really sort of barely scratched the surface of the Buddha's teachings but what I hope that you'll take away with you is this recognition that the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha Dhamma, is just an incredible resource for you in your life and whatever path your life takes in the future. And that we're living in a world, as you know, of rapid change, and it seems as if the pace of change is accelerating. So with accelerated rate of change, unpredictable change, the stress and the potential for suffering increases exponentially. There's no way that we can prepare for any particular scenario in the future. We can see general trends, and with climate change we know things are going to get much worse in the next decades because the causes and conditions for it getting any better are not being fulfilled, and it's currently the causes and conditions to make the situation worse are not being addressed. And as long as for example, the world's economies are still based on an idea of growth, and growth as being a good thing, then we're never going to be able to keep up with the impact on the planet. As growth increases, and the amount of remedies that you have to find, the technologies increase, and they can't keep up. That's at least what's happening right now. Then we have the whole question of AI and the most immediate pressures being on livelihoods, and it seems that there's hardly anything that AI cannot do better, more efficiently than human beings. The question was where are human beings going to fit into this world in the future? Seemed to me the only thing that AI will never be able to take over from human beings is realization of nibbana. It seems like everything else is up for grabs. So when you can't control the world around you, even less than anybody could in previous centuries, where there are so many threats from different areas and areas which we're not even aware of yet, the unknown. There's the unknown unknowns, which can appear at any time in any place. Then how do we make our way in the world? How do we survive? Can you even flourish in a world like this? Because we know that whatever the world will be like in 10 years, it's not going to be how we think it'll be. It'll be something else. So having plans what you're going to do for the next 5 years and 10 years in your careers, then don't forget it's me non. It's completely tentative, unsure. And in Buddhism, rather than being threatened by uncertainty, we embrace it. This is our whole study as Buddhism. We're studying impermanence and uncertainty and how things change and how to live within a world of change. And one of the most important fundamental tools that we need is looking within and seeing what it's not like there's this solid thing called me living in this world which is changing all the time in incredibly threatening kinds of ways, but me, myself, am also a flow of change. It's change and change. It's not like a stable thing confronted with change. So these are more kind of profound insights that can come through meditation. But on a more general level, the Buddha gave his final teaching before he left the world to the monks around him. And he said, everything is changing. Nothing is stable. Nothing anywhere is reliable, ultimately reliable. We live in an unreliable world. Therefore, you should perfect yourself with heedfulness. Heedfulness is the English kind of unusual word in English. Translation of appamata, or in Thai we translate as ความไม่ประมาท So, and in Thai we say ไม่ประมาท what does that really mean? Not so many people really think about this so much, but I would say that ความไม่ประมาท or heedfulness means one, taking nothing for granted, and secondly, being ready. So this is what Dhamma practice is about, whether it's you're cultivating wise boundaries for your actions and your speech. There's the area of sila. You're learning how to manage your emotions and to reduce and gradually wear away the negative emotions, how to create and cultivate positive emotions. That's the samadhi area. You're learning how to look at the world in more intelligent, wise ways. This is the wisdom side. What you're doing is you're trying to create this readiness where you're not saying the world has to be like this, or I just hope that doesn't happen, and what if this is like this and that's like that, then what are we going to do? And falling into that rabbit hole of anxiety. But we're saying, I am cultivating the qualities that I think will make me ready to deal with whatever life throws at me in the future. Whatever happens, I have this inner readiness. I have inner resources. I'm not dependent for my well-being on anything or anybody outside myself. I'm not rejecting things in my environment, I'm not rejecting other people, but I'm being realistic that when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the crunch, you'll survive or you won't, depending on your own inner resources. And it's my belief, my contention that the teachings of the Buddha give the most excellent and comprehensive and effective means to develop the inner resources that we all need. So getting away from looking at Buddhism as a religion and monasteries and ceremonies, and that's often compared with like the bark of a tree. Okay, so it's superficial stuff, but a tree, like the hardwood of the tree, can't survive without a bark. So if you just look at the bark, and what's the use of that? Well, not very much. But if you look at the whole ecology and the whole nature of a tree, you see, the bark of a tree has a role to play, but it's important that you recognize it's a bark. it has a role to play, but don't let it become the whole thing. Don't start thinking that the bark is the tree, but don't throw the bark away either, or don't strip the bark off the tree because the tree will die. But the heartwood of the Dhamma is the practice, is the training, and Buddhism is not to be found in monasteries and books. It's found in the lives of Buddhists, all of us, whether we're monks or nuns or laymen, laywomen, and we all have a part to play. And I think in our personal lives, in our families, and in our culture, that the Buddhist values and Buddhist practices are the wisest way to go, and entering into this uncertain future that we are. So I'd like to share these few thoughts for you. So starting off, very practically speaking, really give a lot of thought and attention about taking 5 precepts as your boundaries in life, taking them on because you see the value of each one of them, and see the effect that it has on your life, the quality of your relationships, your self-respect, self-esteem, and so on. That idea of precepts and boundaries you can extend and create your own private sila. Have a sila around use of telephone and social media. What's podi for you? What's right amount? And this is in worldly things. This is the Dhamma principle. Come back to again and again. What's podi? What's the middle way for me? So podi, the middle way for me and for other people might not be the same, but we look at ourselves and say, what things like really agitate my mind, cause me needless suffering? What things are out of balance in my mind? What kind of boundaries can I set to make sure that I don't get caught up in these things? And so having certain standards, it may be about sleeping and resting, nutrition, exercise, work out how much is podi for you, because these are like nursery, kindergarten, level principles for human well-being. But how few people, even with doctorates, fulfill this basic intelligence about how much sleep you need, what kind of foods your body needs, how much exercise you need, finding this at the podi level. And with telephones, of course, we all know that's really difficult to find a balance. But have some core we say some undertakings. For instance, really good idea not to take telephone, iPad, and so on to bed with you at night. Don't take them into the bedroom is the best, or at least don't be looking and checking social media within 30 minutes of going to bed at night. When you get up in the morning, don't look at them for the first 30 minutes. If you can't manage a social media free zone, generally at least half an hour before bed at night and half an hour first thing in the morning. And just let your mind settle down and calm down, and a little bit of chanting, a little bit of meditation, at the very least, just make those really calm and wholesome periods before going to bed and first thing in the morning. And you'll notice a real positive effect on your life. So having these little kinds of undertakings, for instance, if you want to go next step, you can say, like, no social media on every post a day or every one prat. So it's like twice a month or 4 times a month, taking 8 precepts and just putting down all unnecessary use of telephone and social media. And so fasting, like sort of telephone fasting, social media fasting every now and again, like twice a month, once a week is even better. And the thing about fasting is it really it's a wake up, because you can see just to what extent your use of these things is out of control, and how difficult is it? Why is it so difficult? Maybe it's not so difficult as you think. And every now and again, when you're on holiday, just go out into the countryside. Like if you're in the States or you're in England, there are so many great places to go camping and walking. Get out into the countryside, go to places where there's no Wi-Fi signal, and just experience that a bit. You should, even if you need Wi-Fi and all these things in your life and your career, you should at least have certain periods in your life where you experience what it's like not to be with those things, so you're not just too caught up with them. Finding ways to get fresh views, fresh perspectives on the things that you're most familiar with. This is really important. So, yes, I think enough for this morning. So I wish you all the best. Those of you who will be going back overseas, safe journeys. And yes, have a good Mother's Day. Make a fuss of your mum today, and let her know how much you love her. Okay.
นมยังวาดกาทายังสาธุกรังดาดามาเซสาธุสาธุสาธุอนุโมทา